All right, welcome to Unleashed with Jon Z and Nati. I'm your host and moderator today, Elliot. For our premiere episode, we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl. So first things first, John, who do you got winning?
Elliot, thank you for having me. So glad that this show is finally out and on the road. You know what? I'm going to pick the unpopular opinion, that being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and here's why, okay? A lot of people are thinking this is going to be a big-time offensive game. We're talking about 30, 40 points. A lot of people are taking the over in this game, by the way, at 56.5, and we'll talk about bets later on. Here's the thing, though. Tampa Bay has the top rush defense in the NFL. They're giving up 3.8 yards per carry, best in the NFL. If Tampa Bay could find a way to limit Clyde Edwards-Helaire, force the Chiefs to pass the ball 40 to 50 times in this game, Pat Mahomes is bound to make a mistake. And I know it's Pat Mahomes. You know, the magical Pat Mahomes never makes a mistake. He's thrown 3 picks in one game already this year. He takes shots downfield. He can make a mistake in the Super Bowl. Are we forgetting what he did last year? He was non-existent. He was a non-factor till late in the third quarter against San Francisco. So I see Tampa pulling out on this one. And, you know, here's something else to consider, too. Why would you bet against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl? Like, you'd have to be stupid at this point to bet against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. 6 Super Bowl titles in New England. New team this year. Great weapons. Great defense. There is no question that Tampa Bay is going to win this game.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you having me on the show. And, you know, it's going to be interesting because John and I are going to disagree a lot on this show. But on this very topic, I don't think we're disagreeing. I think I have the Bucs as well winning this game. And for me, it's as easy as Tom Brady, right? You cannot count against Tom Brady. I know last week he had the 3-touchdown, 3-pick performance, and it wasn't too impressive. But when it comes to the Super Bowl, Tom Brady just wins, man. He's not playing against the NFC East, pass rush that is really good this time. So I expect Tom Brady to do really well. He has weapons all over the field right now. He has Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Scotty Miller, who's like the 4th receiver on the team right now, which is absolutely insane. And a lot of people are not mentioning this, and John didn't mention it earlier, but the Bucs are pretty much their defense is pretty much going against 2 missing tackles on the Chiefs offense right now. 2 of their starting tackles right now are not going to be playing in the Super Bowl. So I expect Jason Pierre-Paul, I expect the entire Bucs defense to really feast on that offensive line of the Chiefs and really give Patrick Mahomes a really tough game and maybe cause him to throw some uncharacteristic interceptions, maybe give up a couple turnovers and really pull out the W at the end.
Thank you guys so much. I'm surprised we have a agreement to start the show, but I think the key, or one of the keys to both of your arguments, is Tom Brady. And a question a lot of us have is, if Tom Brady wins, who was the real cause of success in New England? Do we attribute it all to Brady now, or was Belichick still the mastermind behind the dynasty?
Here's what I think. Tom Brady, before the season, if you asked me this question, I would have said 50-50. Half of it goes to Belichick, half to Brady. Brady succeeded in the system. The system was created by Bill Belichick, the head coach. But now as we look at it today, can you name me another quarterback who would leave a team who's been there for 15 years, won 6 Super Bowls, to go to a brand new team, new scheme, new system, new offense, new coach, and be in the Super Bowl in his first year? There's no other quarterback that's done that before. I would argue there won't be one that does it again. So that being said, you'd be way off to not think that Tom Brady was a bigger part of that New England team. And that's no disrespect towards Bill Belichick. Great coach, don't get me wrong. One of the best coaches in NFL history, going to be in Canton someday. No question. That said, he doesn't really size up when you compare Brady to Belichick. You know, here's a fun thought exercise. I thought of this the other day. If Bill Belichick did what Tom Brady did, if he said, you know what, I'm cleaning my hands of this, I'm out, I'm going to go to a different team, implement my system, and win a Super Bowl, would that happen in his first year? Definitely not. No way. So when you think about it that way, Tom Brady is much more responsible for that New England dynasty, and him being in the Super Bowl this year with Tampa, whole new team, proves that to me.
Yeah, for me, John said that he went with the unpopular opinion for the Super Bowl pick. I'm going to go with the unpopular opinion. with this debate right now. I think the jury's still out on this one. I think, for me personally, at this point, I think Brady has already solidified his place as the greatest football player of all time. I also think that Bill Belichick has also solidified his place as the greatest head coach in NFL history. I don't think, it's mutually exclusive. I think you can have both of those things happen at the same time. And a lot of people forget. I know everybody talks about Tom Brady and the stats that he put up this year, the amazing 4,600 yards, 40 touchdowns, 12 picks, leading the Bucs to the Super Bowl for the first time since 2002. I get that. I mean, there's a reason why he is the GOAT. But at the same time, Bill Belichick was missing 9 players going to the season because of COVID opt-outs. A lot of those players were defensive starters and offensive starters, right? You got the Patrick Chungs of the world. You got the Dante Hightowers of the world, right? The key cog of that defense was missing. And they still ended up 7-9. I'm a Washington football team fan, man. And I was excited to be 7-9. That was like our best record in the last 3 or 4 years. The Patriots were 7-9 in their worst year in 20 plus years. Like, that tells you all you need to know. I get it, Tom Brady, of course, had a lot to do with that success. But at the same time, Bill Belichick took a team that was terrible, man. It was terrible. Cam Newton was underperforming all year long, 7-9. And I think next year they'll be back in the playoffs. I really believe that. But I think you can have both be the greatest in their respective fields at this point.
I want to clarify something real quick. I don't want to compare the Patriots this year to the Buccaneers this year. I agree with you, Nati. No comparison. When you have Cam Newton as your quarterback and you're comparing him to Tom Brady, that automatically shows you there's no comparison. I will say, though, and I'll contend this to the end of the time, Bill Belichick, had he done what Tom Brady did, would not be in the Super Bowl today. Guaranteed would not be in the Super Bowl today. So that, to me, shows me that Tom Brady is a more important part of any team he goes to rather than Bill Belichick. You could have a great coach, and Bill Belichick is that. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be going all the way. Tom Brady makes more of a difference on the teams he's on compared to Bill Belichick. And I do agree. You cannot compare this year to Tampa and New England. You can't compare both of those. I get that wholeheartedly. But Bill Belichick would not have done what Tom Brady did if he did the same thing. I don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm. But you see, John, what about, I'm going to say 2 things, okay, that you forgot in that whole spiel right there. One, the Patriots were 11-5 the last time that Tom Brady was not starting, and they were doing that behind a quarterback that a lot of us don't know right now, right, because he hasn't played in a while, and Matt Castle, 11-5 record, right? Everybody thought the Patriots were down and out that season, but they kept rolling and they kept winning, and ultimately they didn't win the playoffs in a crazy year that year, but 11-5, 11 wins. I mean, that's a lot, Bears fan, Washington fan, that's a lot for us to take in. Another thing, though, that a lot of people forget as well, Tom Brady, okay, again, like, he's great. I get that. But the last couple years in New England, wasn't too great, if we're being honest. And I know they made the Super Bowl, but you got to remember, the Patriots those last couple of years had one of the best defenses in the league. And I know they had studs like Stephon Gilmore, and they had Dante Hightower as well, but that defense really came into form because of Bill Belichick, right? A lot of people forget he is a defensive-minded coach. And for them to keep making the Super Bowl, to keep racking up wins despite, Tom Brady having a couple of, not so good performances here and there, I think you've got to give Bill Belichick credit. I really... I will say this, I didn't mention this earlier, you didn't mention this earlier as well, but Bill Belichick as a GM is a whole different thing to me than as a head coach. As a GM, yeah, I think we can agree that he's not too great there. At least he hasn't shown us very great signs over the last couple of years. But as a head coach, I'm sorry, man. It's for me, he's still the greatest NFL coach of all time.
Okay, guys, if Brady wins, that means Mahomes loses. Will we ever be able to see down the line a conversation of Mahomes as the GOAT?
No, not at all. Simple answer. When you look back on this debate 30 years from now, we're comparing Brady to Mahomes, and we're going back and forth. Oh, who's the GOAT? I don't know. He has more yards. He has more touchdowns. They both have 6 Super Bowls. In the end, the tiebreaker is going to be, oh, hey, they faced each other. Who won in that specific game? And I hate to be that way. I hate to bring it all down to one game. But if they're going to be even in every other category, that's what it's going to come down to. That's going to be the tiebreaker. And the tiebreaker will go to the winner. The tiebreaker will go to the winner of this Super Bowl. I said this on my show this week. Tom Brady has nothing to lose here. Already won 6 Super Bowls. This is his 10th. Great quarterback. Everyone knows him today to be the GOAT. If Pat Mahomes loses to Tom Brady, to me, there's no chance he'll ever be the GOAT in the NFL. Ever. If he loses to the current GOAT, as it is right now, and we go back 30 years and we start thinking about this again, there's no way you could tell me Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT by losing to the GOAT, Tom Brady.
Yeah, for me, again, guys, this is very rare, right? John and I don't usually agree on a lot of things when it comes to sports, but we're going to agree once again, man. If the Chiefs lose, heck no. No, Patrick Mahomes will never be able to become the GOAT unless he goes on a streak and wins like 6 Super Bowls and maybe gets to 7, ties up with Brady. But even then, Brady has a tiebreaker. So maybe if he adds another one, but no, I just don't see it happening if Brady wins this one, man. A 43-year-old quarterback. I know he has weapons all over the field, but 43 years old, man, and he's still balling out. I get it. A lot of people want to crown Patrick Mahomes as the young GOAT right now, the baby GOAT, as I know a lot of people out there are saying on social media. But no, if he does not win the Super Bowl, I'm sorry, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's already the GOAT. But like John said, Patrick Mahomes has a lot to lose, right? If he wants to become the GOAT one day, he has to win this matchup. This is the Jordan versus LeBron matchup that we have been wanting to see in the NBA, haven't obviously been able to see, but are seeing now in the NFL.
The only thing that would make a difference, Nati, that I could think of is if Mahomes wins like 10 Super Bowls. If he wins 10 Super Bowls, then yes, he's the GOAT. I'd give it to him, even if he lost in this game against Tom Brady. But if he wins 5, if he wins 4, if he goes 4-2 and Brady went 6-3 in the Super Bowl, that to me won't make much of a difference at all. And this game means so much for him and his legacy. And I know I hate to say it, he's so young, he's still a kid, but if you've already won an MVP and you've already won a Super Bowl as it is, no more excuses. There's no excuse to say, oh, he's way too young. Oh, he lost to Tom Brady, more experience. No. Pat Mahomes has been there. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won an MVP. He's taken this league by storm. If you can't beat Tom Brady, you're never going to be the GOAT. Okay?
Yeah. And on that point, man, a lot of people out there might think, oh, we're huge Brady fans. No, we do not want to see him win a 7th ring. We're tired of it. We are absolutely tired of it. We want a young gun like Patrick Mahomes to win, or maybe some other guys, maybe a little bit less so for John, but like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or someone like that to really step up and win and take over the league. Some of them have, but not so much with Brady still lurking in the shadows. But as a Peyton Manning fan growing up, as someone who had a dad who instilled that love for him, I'm sorry, man. Tom Brady's the GOAT, and until Patrick Mahomes potentially wins this matchup, or if he goes on that kind of streak that John mentioned, case closed.
This is a Golden State and a Cleveland Cavaliers scenario all over again, by the way. This might be unpopular, but I don't care. I really don't want to see this Super Bowl. I'm really not that much intrigued, because you know what? We see these guys all the time, every week, every Sunday. We're exposed to them. We're told these guys are great. I get it. I know they're good. But could we see a different team, please? A different quarterback, somebody out of the blue? Would have been nice to see Lamar Jackson in the Super Bowl. Would have been nice even to see Josh Allen. I would have been rooting for him to lose, but the point is he would have been there. Instead, we're seeing the same old 2 guys who are spoon-fed to us each and every Sunday, and I'm sick of it personally. And I feel like the NFL, if this continues somehow, if this pattern continues, that's going to be a problem for them. The NBA's ratings have gone down. People say it's politics. In my opinion, it isn't. It's no competition. We haven't been seeing different teams and different players in the finals in a while. And if this continues with the NFL, where we're seeing the same old mainstream players in the NFL, in the Super Bowl, that's going to be a problem long term.
I will say this. Here comes the disagreement. In terms of the Super Bowl matchup, I would agree with you if it were, if the Patriots were in the NFC and they're facing off against the Chiefs right in the Super Bowl. I would agree with you. But I think it is more interesting when you have a quarterback like Tom Brady playing in his first year for the Tampa Bay Bucks, who haven't been to the Super Bowl since 2002. And I just think there's so many interesting factors there. You know, you have the Antonio Brown factor as well. Will he capture his first Super Bowl ring? You have the Le'Veon Bell factor as well with the Chiefs. You have the narrative, right, or the storyline around the Chiefs potentially winning once again. So I think there are some interesting storylines in this matchup. And I think the biggest one that I touched on earlier is that Jordan versus LeBron matchup, man. Like, we talk about this all the time. We debate this all the time. We'll probably get to it on the show in terms of our opinions on that. But, you know, we're finally getting it in the NFL, which is something that we've been wanting. A lot of fans have been wanting, myself included. And I will also say with the NBA, I mean, you said that, you know, the same players, same teams play all the time. Not anymore, man. Like, this isn't 2018. This isn't 2017. This is 2021, right? We just came off a 2020 finals with the Lakers, right, who weren't in the finals for a good, 10 years up until that point, with LeBron and AD in their first year together. And then you had the Miami Heat, who are a young, up-and-coming team, who obviously now they're proving that they were very much fluky, right, on that finals run. But I thought it was an interesting matchup to see, and it definitely was. I get it, you know, the Lakers absolutely demolished the Heat in that matchup, but at the same time, it was interesting because, again, we're seeing LeBron potentially be at a place where he could contend for that GOAT status down the line. We'll see, but I just thought it was interesting to have two different teams, and again, this isn't 2017, 2018. I understand Cavs, Warriors got very tiring when we kept seeing, you know, the two teams in the finals, and obviously the Warriors winning many of those matchups, but I don't think you can say it's the same thing at this point.
You could definitely make that case, and here's why. LeBron James. I'm sick of seeing him in the finals. Give me a different player. Give me a different narrative. Give me a different narrative. Give me a different player. Give me a different storyline. Because personally, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing him in there. Give me somebody different. I don't care. Oh, the Lakers made it. Yeah, well, that's misleading. We know who is still on that team, to me. I'd rather see somebody different, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Maybe this year will give us some much-needed differences in the finals. We'll have to see.
Let me ask you, Mr. Sports Talk Chicago guy, what if it was Michael Jordan, you know, being in the finals every single year? Would you have the same feelings? Would you have the same feelings as a Bulls fan? Would you have the same feelings as a Michael Jordan fan? Would you, John? Would you?
Objectively, I would. As a fan, I wouldn't. So
Okay.
But objectively, I would. You want to see differences. You want to see different players. You want to see different storylines. If you see the same thing over and over again, it's like Groundhog Day, the movie. Eventually, it's going to get tiring. Eventually, you're going to want something different. It's just human nature. We don't want to see the same thing each and every year and be like, oh, now we're intrigued again, or now there's something different. If we see the same two teams in it every year, eventually, I'm going to be tired of it. And I was tired of it for a long time with the Cavaliers and Warriors, and I'm still tired of it now seeing LeBron in there. We need something different. We need something different.
See, if it's two elite talents, two elite teams battling it off every single year, pretty evenly matched teams, right? Not like one all-time great 73-9 team versus the Cavs team that for the last couple of years did not have Kyrie Irving, and it was pretty much just like the LeBron James show, Kevin Love, you know, some sprinkles in every now and then I would agree with you. But I mean, if you have somewhat like a Magic versus Larry Bird type of matchup consecutively every single year in the finals, you know, potentially if Tom Brady was much younger, we could have had that, right, with the Bucks versus the Chiefs. I would have been interested. I'd have been stoked to watch the matchups. I get it, you know, it could get tiring after some period of time, but I don't know, man. I just love seeing elite talents, elite teams battling off every single year. I don't like it being lopsided like we saw with the Cavs versus Warriors the last couple of years. But I will say this. If the Cavs kept the big three together and they were playing against a Warriors team that did not have that Snake KD join the team, it would have been a fun matchup to watch for 4 or 5 years, right? Because you had two evenly matched teams. You got to be honest. But obviously KD just destroyed the matchup, in my opinion.
Let's move on. We've gotten a little bit off topic here, but let's turn the page. Let's say Brady loses. I mean, this has been in the conversation for a while now, but if Mahomes wins, are we ushering in a new guard? Rivers is out, Breeze is on his way out, Big Ben's got trouble in Pittsburgh, and Rodgers has trouble in Green Bay. There's a new quarterback class coming in, and if Mahomes wins, is this the start?
I think we've already seen it. Even if Mahomes loses, we have a new quarterback class in the NFL. And for those who don't want to resist it, for those who are totally opposed to it. I'm sorry to tell you, it's already over. The people that we watched growing up, great quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers, even Aaron Rodgers to an extent, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, they're done. It's over. They're gone. That's it. Phillip Rivers is retiring. Drew Brees has already said, I'm thinking about it. I'm going to weigh my options. We know he has an NBC deal waiting. He's done, in my opinion. If he comes back, it's going to be a big mistake for him because he already has those thoughts in his head. I think he's going to have a horrible season if he comes back again. We're seeing a new era, unfortunately, and I guess fortunately to some. It's nice to see different faces, but for those who grew up watching Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, all those guys that you knew and loved, Eli Manning, they're gone. And it's time for the NFL. I think they've done a good job at this and embracing this new generation. They've done a good job at marketing and telling people, hey, the guys you used to watch, they're done. You got to find new people to root for. It's a shame that a lot of those legends are going to be gone. I think a lot of them, if not all of them, have Hall of Fame cases. But even if Mahomes doesn't win and Brady somehow does, realistically, how many more years does Brady have? I know he says he wants to play until he's 50 years old, and if he does, God bless him, good for him. I don't see it happening. I think he probably has 2 or 3 more years, even if he wins or doesn't win, after this Super Bowl, and he'll be the last one standing. By the time he retires, there's going to be no remnant of that quarterback class. Everybody's going to be new. Everybody's going to be different. And the NFL is going to go, I think, under an identity crisis. They're going to have to find a way to salvage their brand with all these guys gone. It's going to be very interesting to see how they deal with it.
I don't even know where to start, John. First off, put some respect on Aaron Rodgers' name. Don't even think about grouping him with those names that you just mentioned, the Ben Roethlisberger, the Phillip Rivers, the Drew Brees who are retiring right now. Aaron Rodgers was playing at an elite level. He is, not even arguably, he is the MVP this year. He was balling out at age 37 years old. I think he has at least, maybe not with the Green Bay Packers, right? Because they have a young gun, right, in Jordan Love, but at least 4 years maybe. I really believe that. I mean, he's a quarterback. He doesn't get hit too much. I think he will stay around for some time. He'll definitely represent that old guard that you were talking about, but I don't think the NFL will suffer any identity crisis with Brady being out. And on that point, though, I think Brady, again, like I mentioned this earlier, I am not betting against Tom Brady. A lot of people said he couldn't play against 45, and he's about to do it. I mean, potentially not play again until 50, but maybe 47-ish. I don't know. All I'm saying is I'm not doubting Tom Brady. However long he wants to play, he will play. Probably, though, it'll be over after his time with the Bucs, right? Because he did have that 2-year contract. But I will say there's a bunch of young Bucs right now in the NFL, man. There's Lamar Jackson. There's Josh Allen. There's a lot of guys in the draft that people aren't mentioning. There's Trevor Lawrence, who's probably going to get drafted by the Jaguars, #1 overall. There's Justin Fields. There's Zach Wilson. I'm a huge Zach Wilson fan. I think he's going to take over the league in no time. But I think, obviously, if Patrick Mahomes wins this matchup, he's going to be leading the way. And I think the Chiefs will be in for a Patriots-like dynasty.
I'm not disrespecting Aaron Rodgers by putting his name in that class, by the way. If anything, it's too much respect. Aaron Rodgers has won Super Bowl. Ben Roethlisberger has a ton. Phillip Rivers has played for longer. I understand Rodgers is better than Rivers. But in general, that's not disrespecting him. That's putting him right in his place. He belongs right in that category. Until he wins more Super Bowls, which I don't know if he even will, that's about right. That's where he's going to be. I agree, maybe 3 or 4 more years left. I could see it. But even then, how much success will he have? He'll put up numbers. How many Super Bowls will he win? I am very doubtful that he's going to win one more even. I'm very doubtful at that. I feel like his career is going to be on Drew Brees' trajectory. He'll put up a lot of numbers. He'll have 70,000 passing yards, 400, 500 touchdown passes. But Drew Brees won just one Super Bowl. And then he cried when he didn't get there, and his team cried when, there was a bad penalty and the NFL changed the rules. I think Aaron Rodgers is done when it comes to Super Bowls, but I do think he'll be in that conversation of Drew Brees. He'll be right under Tom Brady, right under, because if you don't have the rings, it doesn't mean a thing. And if Aaron Rodgers can't win At least 2 more Super Bowls. To me, it means nothing. It means nothing to me. If Aaron Rodgers can't win 2 more Super Bowls at least, it means nothing to me. He'll sit at 1. He'll be a good player. He'll never be up to that higher status to me.
Man, John, your Bears fandom is definitely creeping into this debate, man. Are you kidding me? Aaron freaking Rodgers. I get it, he is slightly overrated. I'll give you that. A lot of people think he is the GOAT because of his talent, his amazing talent, arguably the most talented quarterback of all time. I wouldn't say he's the GOAT at this point. Obviously, Tom Brady is, but Aaron Rodgers, man, you're really grouping Aaron Rodgers with the... Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this, John. Let me tell you this. I will say the Packers, I promise you, they're finally going to be aggressive this offseason. I promise you, they're finally going to give him the weapons on offense, if not give him a great defense for once, right? A really great defense that will actually be able to carry the Packers for once. I just think, his time being a legit NFC contender, or the Packers' time being an NFC contender, is not over. I think they will make the Super Bowl at least one more time before his career wraps up. I know you disagree, but I just think Aaron Rodgers has a lot left in the tank. He showed that this year. He had great protection, had a great running back, right? Aaron Jones. He is a free agent this year, but I think the Packers will find a way to bring him back. I think, they have to at this point, but I don't know, man. I just, again, the disrespect to put Aaron Rodgers, I get it. Big Ben won 2 Super Bowls, and, a lot of people think of Super Bowls as the end-all, be-all to being a great quarterback, but this isn't the NBA, man. In the NBA, as a single player, as a single superstar, you have more control over winning championships than you have in the NFL. The NFL is the truest of team sports, right? You have a defense, you have an offense, and you have a special teams. If you don't have at least one of those things going pretty well outside of the quarterback position or outside of a specific position, then you're not going to win a lot of games. And I think the Packers, up until the last couple of years, they didn't have a great defense. They finally built up that defense once Aaron Rodgers got older. That tells you all you need to know about the Packers management. And I think his time winning Super Bowls, he might not win a couple more Super Bowls, but I think he will win one more before his career wraps up, whether it be in Green Bay or not.
Well, remember, the Packers don't even have an owner. I mean, I could go and own the Packers, first of all. Yeah. Secondly, that means by your logic that Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I agree. But if that's the case, then let's acknowledge the truth here. Ben Roethlisberger has 2 Super Bowls. Ben Roethlisberger's been with Pittsburgh for a long time. Franchise quarterback. He's done so much for that organization. You're going to tell me
I was in the last 5 years.
You're going to tell me it's an insult to group Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger together. If anything, I'm doing Aaron Rodgers a favor here. I'm doing him a favor to put him next to Ben Roethlisberger in that category. That being said, either way, it doesn't even matter. In the next 2 or 3 years, all these guys are going to be gone. They're going to be has-beens. No one's going to remember them. And the NFL, I think, to this day, is going to have an identity crisis when they're all gone. The current fan base that they have knows everybody, knows all these guys. We're talking about 50, 60-year-old people. We're talking about 10, 15-year-old kids. They all know these players because they've been around for such a long time. When they're gone, the older fan base that's been with the NFL, they're going to have an identity crisis, and the NFL, I think, is going to lose some ratings in the beginning until a new quarterback could really reemerge. I know Patrick Mahomes is the favorite, but there needs to be other people. It can't just be him. We saw in this era Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning. I'm sure I'm leaving some guys out too. There needs to be more than just Patrick Mahomes, and I would hope that all these guys in the draft will get it done. I would hope that some of these young bucks could stick, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, but we don't know yet. What we do know is that the legends of the game are leaving, and they're going to be leaving very quick, and I think that could be a problem moving forward.
Yeah, John, so going back to your earlier point about the Ben Roethlisberger thing and saying that you're doing Aaron Rodgers a favor by mentioning him with Big Ben. Do you remember how the Pittsburgh Steelers were constructed in those 2 Super Bowl runs that they had in the late 2000s? Because last time I checked, they had one of, if not the best defense every single year in Big Ben's early career. Last time I checked, in his first Super Bowl particularly, it was that defense that really led the way and ultimately allowed them to capture that Super Bowl ring. I'm a Big Ben fan. I love Big Ben. He's a great quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers has been consistently one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the league over the last decade plus. And I don't think that's even like arguable at this point. I just think he, everybody talks about his talent, but how many MVPs does he have? How many times has he been in contention for the MVP award? Can we say the same for Big Ben? I don't think so. Also, you got to factor in the fact that Big Ben had a lot more weapons on offense, in my opinion. Do you remember the three Bs in Big Ben and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell? Do you remember the Pittsburgh Steelers defense once again that I mentioned earlier? How great it was in the late 2000s? Do you remember the head coaching that they've had for so long? We've seen, how bad of a coach that the previous coach in Green Bay has been, right, with the Cowboys and stuff. So we can tell how much Aaron Rodgers really led the way in Green Bay now. But again, I just think you're disrespecting Aaron Rodgers there. But on the point about ratings, I agree. There might be a slight dip in ratings after all those guys retire, particularly the Tom Brady's of the world. But I just think that slight dip in ratings will not match the increase in ratings that we'll see eventually down the road when all these quarterbacks are really mature in their late 20s. We see the Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes show for years and down the road. I think the ratings will get back, and I don't think the NFL is any trouble.
Thank you guys for talking about Aaron Rodgers for our Super Bowl episode between the Bucs and the Chiefs. But let's move on to our last segment. I wanted to talk about a little bit of fun. So let's talk about these prop bets we got going on. John, who's catching the first touchdown pass?
Very good question. I'm going to say Tyreek Hill. He's the favorite right now, and I know that's a mainstream pick, but I feel like Tyreek Hill is always targeted inside the red zone. If KC gets the ball first, I think they are going to score, and I would look for Tyreek Hill to make that catch first off.
How much money putting on it?
Put me on the spot here.
Asking the real question.
Yeah, that is a real question. I'll put $50 on it. $50 on Tyreek Hill making the first catch in the Super Bowl.
All right, thank you. And Nati, what's the color of the Gatorade that's going to get splashed on the winning coach?
Ooh, man, these questions have just gotten tougher and tougher. I would say red. I think it's going to be red this year. I just think, the red color being sort of the colors of the two teams being in the Super Bowl right now, I just think it just matches up really well. But it's always interesting because it seems like every year it changes.
Do y'all have any over-under estimates on the national anthem?
I think it's going to be over 2 minutes, personally. I think the line right now is at 1:59, if I'm not mistaken, the last time I checked. I'm saying over 2 minutes.
John, I did want to ask you, though, a lot of people are talking about Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady winning the MVPs on the respective team if, they ultimately come out with a W this Sunday night. But who do you think might be a dark horse candidate outside of those two that could potentially come up and win the Super Bowl, right? Because we saw a couple years back with the Seahawks, that linebacker, I believe it was Malcolm Brown, who ultimately captured the Super Bowl MVP. Could that happen this year as well?
I'm going to say Ronald Jones. This is a bit out there, but Ronald Jones averages 5 yards per carry, as it is. We all know that the Chiefs' defense doesn't even compare to what Tampa Bay is going to do defensively, especially when it comes to the run game. If Ronald Jones rushes for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, I have no reason to believe that he won't get it. I think Ronald Jones is a dark horse that no one's talked about. He's a rookie, hasn't gotten a lot of attention. Leonard Fournette has gotten more attention than Ronald Jones on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I think is a joke. I'm going to say it. Ronald Jones could win the MVP if it isn't Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. What about you, Nati?
I will say, so in terms of the linebacker, it was Malcolm Smith. But in terms of my pick this year, I'm going to go with someone who I didn't even mention earlier, but has been a difference maker for the Tampa Bay Bucs ever since he's been back the last couple of weeks in the playoffs. And that guy is Devin White, man. Devin White, nine sacks on the season as a inside linebacker. He's just been all over the field. And when the Bucs were playing against my Washington football team, the Washington football team offense really lit up the Bucs defense. But ever since Devin White has come back in the divisional round, I believe, their defense has been really good, and he makes tackles all over the field, really rangy, has great speed. I think Devin White's going to be the guy.
So that's all the fun we got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to our premiere episode of Unleashed with Jon Z and Nati. We hope you enjoyed, and keep up to date with Maroon TV for more coming soon. Thank you.